welcome back to my channel. Today, I would like to dive a little deeper into the notion of the spiral. A few weeks ago, I was inspired to make this video, and in the meantime, I've been doing some research and making some attempts to put together some images to kind of help present this notion. So I pursue the underlying truth of the universe and try to build my understanding of that through different means. And one of those is science, with scientific reasoning, mathematical reasoning, logical reasoning. And the other route that I follow is the spiritual route, which is, for me at least, more about being open to truth that ultimately finds me. And the spiral seems to be a prominent idea in both of these ways of living and thinking and considering. So let's take a look at some of these images. Okay, so first, let's just, for a minute, appreciate the beauty of the spiral. That's the main thing that really attracted me to this particular image. And then we will look at some of the spiritual aspects of the spiral, that of ascension from a psychological to spiritual aspect, how our shadows and our lessons come around and around again and again, and each time we see these lessons from a higher perspective. The chakras and the Kundalini awakening seems to follow a spiral or a helical path, actually. And I find it interesting that we see the same image in the caduceus, the symbol for allopathic medicine. Some different representations of the spiral. This particular image is a sample of tattoos that you can actually get. The spiral in the form of a labyrinth or labyrinth as a meditative tool as you walk the labyrinth. And so we look at a few of the different kinds of spirals. This is a logarithmic spiral, where a circle grows along with the spiral as it expands. The Archimedean spiral, which is constant as it expands. These are two of several different kinds of spirals. The idea of a spiral expanding and also contracting to a boundary. This particular situation, especially the image on the right, seems to apply fairly deeply to one of the theories of everything, the Sankhya Karika, where the spiral being compressed at the center corresponds to the strong nuclear force, atomic nuclei, such things, and where the accumulation at the outer boundary is indicative more of the electromagnetic force and electroweak unification. And what's in the middle? That is the resonant zone. That is where the weak force and the Higgs field seem to live. And here we have the golden spiral. And this is a prominent place where the idea of the spiral really makes close contact with fundamental mathematics. This is the sort of spiral that we see in nature, whether it be very large scale like galaxies and the universe itself, or in nature here on Earth, that being a logarithmic spiral. And we have again the golden spiral, which nature has found to be the optimum way to distribute itself as it grows in order to make the best use of space and of energy. We see this golden ratio that comes out of the Fibonacci or golden spiral in the ratios within our own bodies. We see it in very basic geometry. Squares, rectangles, circles. And it is interesting that the circle is really sort of at the center of all of it. The ancients saw it and first discovered the ratio and included it in their architecture. We use it in modern architecture. We see it in nature, in everyday life. Something as simple as how water goes down the drain. And here is that number that emerges from the spiral, a never-ending decimal, an irrational number. Infinitely precise. And here is how that number emerges from the Fibonacci sequence, right? You add 1 and 1, you get 2. You add 1 and 2, you get 3. You add 2 and 3, you get 5, etc., etc. And then you divide one number in this sequence by the number that came before it, and you get a ratio. And the higher and higher you go in the sequence, the closer the ratio gets to phi. Here is the Fibonacci sequence in terms of the numbers and how they create the rectangles that then create the spiral itself. And here is a way to derive the number using the Pythagorean theorem with a right triangle and with these circles to provide us with a notion of what is a unit. What is the number 1? And it's basically the diameter of a circle. And those are the numbers we use to derive phi. You can do it with a line by dividing it and relating the length of the whole to one of the parts. This is another way. Toby the dog finds a way to appear in all of my videos. Okay, so here is a demonstration with a eternally continuing fraction, both of how infinite the number phi is and how incredibly irrational it is, and how it just seems to exist at the center of the mathematical world and of the spiritual world. And this particular equation solves for the smaller version of phi, the part of it that comes after the decimal point. And this one is found at the heart of the Sankhya Karika, the theory of everything. And by multiplying, squaring, dividing, adding, we seem to be able to construct a theory of everything. How does physics work at the most fundamental levels? What is space? We answer some of these questions by considering this equation, and the equation for phi at the center of everything. And we can apply it back to nature, limiting cycles, vortices. According to the Sankhya Karika, all of what we know of as particles, such as photons, electrons, protons, etc., are vortices, spirals, and are based on phi. In the theories of dynamics, we see phi represented in the limit cycle, like this, a vortex. Very prominent in nature. Nature on all scales. Phi has and the spiral have a fractal sense in which it's self-similar. No matter how far you zoom in on it, it's the same. So this video, this work, is meant as a poetic look at what is usually seen from a scientific, logical, or mathematical way. And just like looking up at the stars in the sky, you get a sense of awe. And that's what I feel when I look at mathematical truths like the spiral and the golden ratio, and get a sense of how it manifests within everything. So thank you for watching this somewhat imperfect but heartfelt video of mine, and I will see you in future videos. Please like, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel.